My narcissist husband slapped me when I told him I was 4 months pregnant. My name is Natalie, and I'm 29 years old. The moment his hand connected with my face, I felt something inside me break. Not my spirit, something else. Something that had been holding me back. I didn't cry. I just stared at him. Garrett stood there, his hand still raised, his face twisted in this ugly expression I'd seen 1,000 times, but never quite like this. His eyes were wide, almost surprised at what he'd done, but not sorry. Never sorry. You did this on purpose, he said. His voice was shaking. You got pregnant on purpose to trap me. I touched my cheek. It was hot, burning. I could already feel it starting to swell. I'm your wife, Garrett. We've been married for 3 years. I told you I wasn't ready for kids. I told you we'd talk about it later, but you couldn't wait, could you? You had to go behind my back and sabotage the protection. The thing is, I hadn't. We'd stopped being careful about 6 months ago. He'd said it was fine. He'd said whatever happens, happens. He'd even smiled when he said it, pulling me close and kissing my forehead. But now, standing in our kitchen with my face stinging and my hand instinctively moving to my stomach, I realized he'd been lying. About that. About everything. I picked up my phone from the counter. What are you doing? He asked. His tone shifted. Softer now. Manipulative. The tone he used when he wanted something. Calling my sister. He lunged forward and grabbed my wrist. Hard. Hard enough that I gasped. You're not telling anyone about this. Do you understand me? Let go of me. Natalie, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it. You just shocked me with the news. I wasn't ready to hear it. You know how I get when I'm surprised. You should have picked a better time to tell me. There it was. Already making it my fault. Already twisting things so that somehow I was responsible for his violence. I looked down at his hand on my wrist. At the white pressure marks his fingers were making on my skin. At the way his thumb was digging into the soft underside of my forearm. Then I looked up at his face. Let go. Something in my voice must have gotten through because he released me. I stepped back, putting the kitchen island between us. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I'm going to Michelle's house, I said. My sister, don't call me. Don't text me. Don't come looking for me. Natalie, come on. Don't be dramatic. We can talk about this. We're adults. We're married. This is what married people do. They have disagreements and they work through them. You hit me, Garrett. You hit your pregnant wife. I barely touched you. Get away from me. His face changed again. The mask slipped. For just a second, I saw pure rage underneath. You walk out that door and you're making a huge mistake. You think you can make it without me? You think anyone else is going to want you? I grabbed my purse and my keys and walked out. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock my car, but I did it. I got in. I started the engine. I didn't look back. Michelle opened her door before I even knocked. She must have seen my car pull up from the window. What happened? She asked. And then she saw my face. The handprint was already visible, angry and red against my pale skin. Oh my God, Natalie. I started crying then. Not because of the slap, because I'd finally admitted to myself what I'd known for months, maybe years. My husband didn't love me. He probably never had. Michelle pulled me inside and sat me down on her couch. Her husband Ryan appeared in the doorway with their 1-year-old son Lucas on his hip. He took one look at my face, and his expression darkened. I'm going to put Lucas down for his nap, he said quietly. Call me if you need anything. He knew when to give us space. Michelle disappeared into the kitchen and came back with ice wrapped in a dish towel. She pressed it gently against my cheek. Tell me everything, she said. So I did. I told her about the pregnancy, about how excited I'd been when I took the test, about how I'd planned this whole special way to tell Garrett. I'd bought a little onesie that said hello daddy and wrapped it in a box. I'd made his favorite dinner. I'd lit candles. I told her how his face had fallen when he opened the box, how he just stared at the onesie for a long moment before looking up at me with cold eyes. Is this some kind of joke? He'd asked. No, I'm really pregnant. 4 months. I wanted to be sure before I told you. That's when he'd started yelling, accusing me of trapping him, of ruining his life, of being selfish and manipulative. And when I tried to calm him down, tried to remind him that we'd agreed to stop preventing pregnancy, he'd slapped me. Michelle's face got darker and darker as I talked. Natalie, she said when I finally stopped. You know this is abuse, right? I did. Of course I did. But hearing her say it out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. I kept thinking it would get better, I whispered. I kept thinking if I just tried harder, if I just did things right, he'd be happy. He'd love me the way I loved him. That's what they want you to think, that it's your fault. But it's not, Natalie. It was never your fault. But then I kept going. I told her about all the other stuff. The stuff I'd been too embarrassed to share before. The stuff I'd minimized and explained away and pretended wasn't that bad. How Garrett criticized everything I did. How I cooked wrong, even when I followed his mother's recipes exactly. How I cleaned wrong, even though I spent hours making sure everything was perfect. How I dressed wrong, too frumpy or too revealing, never just right. How nothing I did was ever good enough. How he'd isolated me from my friends over the past 3 years, always finding some reason why